Checking again. That didn't work. Hey, happy Friday, everybody. It's Chamber Check-in time. And today we have Johnson May attorneys, Dan Moschella and Kyla Breed with us today. Hello, you two.
Hi, how are you,
Hi,
Paul?
Paul.
Hey, I'm terrific. Hey, these broadcasts come from your only five-star accredited chamber in the state of Idaho. And we've been doing these for about 3.5 years now. They're great ways to share our members' stories, our members' products, services. And today we get to learn about a really cool upcoming event that I'm excited to share. But we start out with these chamber check-ins by introducing our guests. So let's start out with you, Kyla, and then we'll go to Dan. Kyla, how long have you been with Johnson May? Tell us a little bit about your background and what your role is.
Definitely. Yeah. So I've been with Johnson May. It was 4 years, May 13th, I believe. So um, I weathered the storms of the pandemic with them. And my role here is marketing specialist. I oversee all the marketing efforts as well as our client onboarding process as well and our client onboarding team. So yeah, my I grew up in Boise, went to Boise State. I started my marketing career here in Boise, and really I've developed that a lot with Johnson May. So uh,
Awesome, Kyla. Hey, thanks so much. Dan, tell us a little bit about your background, your role with the law firm, and how long have you been with the outfit?
Sure. Dan Michella, I was hired by Johnson May that's about a little less than a year ago as chief operating officer. I've actually stepped away from that role and am consulting for Johnson May um, and transitioning those day-to-day duties, focusing exclusively on the production of this leadership event on June 28th. And my background, I moved to Boise. I was a refugee from California. I moved here 2 years ago, following a long career as an executive in the media and entertainment business, working as a finance executive. So still adjusting and getting acclimated to all the wonderful things that Idaho has to offer.
That's awesome, Dan. Thanks for taking some time to get us up to speed. And welcome to Idaho.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So, Kyla, for those that don't know, tell us a little bit about Johnson May and what are the types of products and services that the firm offers?
yeah, of course. So Johnson May is a full service law firm here in Idaho. We've got a location in Boise. That's kind of our main location, and then we've got our Twin Falls location. Um, our reputation in Twin Falls comes from the May and May firm that's been in the area for close to 70 years. So we've had generations of Mays come through that side of the family, four generations of attorneys. Justin May is our current partner who is carrying on that legacy. And then here in Boise, we've got five partners. All of them kind of lead the force with different kind of practice areas. Since we're full service, we do anything from family law to estate planning to business to bankruptcy, real estate law. That's really kind of real estate law is what we've built a lot of our reputation on here in the Boise office. Wyatt Johnson, the other part of the name, he's been practicing law for I think 20 years, close to 20 years. So he's really established his reputation as a litigator. And yeah, I could go on about all of our attorneys, but we do transactional and litigation, and uh, really try to provide all legal services for our clients. So it's really cradle to grave.
I am just learning a little bit more about Johnson May every year. And what I've noticed is what you've done personally, Kyla, to elevate the brand, the team members, and also the community. There's been an elevated investment of community engagement. Why don't you tell us a bit more about that? I know you've been doing some Thursday events, and tell us why you're elevating your community engagement.
Of course, yeah. So one of our goals the past couple of years, it's something that we've always valued as a firm. Our attorneys really value getting in front of potential clients, other professionals in the industry, and just being able to create really deep connections in the community. That was really done individually for a long time, but we've recently been putting more of an effort into hosting events and just giving back, creating spaces for professionals, not just in the legal industry, but in the business community to get to come together. We didn't get to do that for a long time, so doing these first Thursday events and the event we'll be talking about later on, it's just been extremely rewarding, and it's allowed us to have our attorneys speak for themselves and speak to the services that they can offer. It's great to read about somebody's bio on a website, but creating kind of a deep connection with somebody and being able to look them in the eyes and shake their hand, that means a lot more than any kind of post on a website. So
No, absolutely. I'm so glad that you have the foot on the gas pedal with community engagement. And I'm so glad you said it's those relationships that are built during these types of events. You never know who you're going to meet. I find it all the time when I'm out at events. You run into somebody. The other day I was, trying to get catering for an event, and I was at the business after hours of the chamber host, and I met the R&R barbecue folks. I said, "Oh, perfect!" So that I just made that connection right there. So it's just you just never know. Okay, you had mentioned an event that's coming up in June that Johnson May is hosting, and Dan, I'm so glad that you're here to help share that. And why don't you give us the overview, kind of the 30,000-foot view of what it is and why, and then I'll try and pull up that flyer here really quick that you sent me. And then come off mute if you can, Dan.
There we go. Thank you, Paul. Well, let's back up a little bit about why we're doing it. And hats off to the partners at Johnson May who stepped up in a very big way when I suggested this event. They embraced it hook, line, and sinker. And, any professional service firm would count themselves lucky to have a head of marketing like Kyla Brady. Putting together events for those listening that have organized large events, it takes a village. And having Kyla handle the marketing has been huge. The genesis of this goes all the way back to about 10 years ago in Los Angeles. I joined the board of directors of a military nonprofit called Your Grateful Nation. Currently, now it's called the Special Operations Transition Foundation, started by Rob O'Neill, the SEAL that was credited with killing bin Laden. And I, as a member of the board of directors and an employee of Fox Sports, I was responsible for organizing, originally it was fundraisers for the nonprofit, and then mentoring the special operators that were transitioning from military to civilian careers. And I frankly developed a passion for that. My father was in the Army. He is one of the few remaining survivors of the war in Korea. He fought in a famous battle called Pork Chop Hill, where there were very few American survivors. And he was also a New York City police officer. So that stoked my passion for producing these events. And when I moved to Idaho, it became real easy. I discovered we have such an amazing, tight-knit business community, right? Paul, you know this. We see each other everywhere, and we're all kind of interconnected, and it's so easy to network. When I came out here, I started working for the Idaho Department of Corrections as their chief of management services, and approached them about doing an inspirational, motivational speaking event at the state capitol. We brought in a gal named Kirstie Ennis, a former Marine, single above the knee amputee, and that was the first event I produced here in Idaho. Did another event last year with a former Marine combat engineer, double above the knee amputee named Rob Jones, who now works for a group called Echelon Front. So those of you who know the book Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink, Rob works for Jocko. Rob ran 31 marathons in 31 days in 31 cities as a double amputee. The first such person to ever do that. He also biked 5,188 miles from Bar Harbor, Maine to Camp Pendleton in California. So brought him in to speak at the Lincoln Auditorium, and did so with my good friend, Sheriff Matt Clifford. Did a law enforcement appreciation lunch. 7 restaurants were generous enough to contribute food for the law enforcement appreciation lunch. They were Luciano's, Guido's Pizza, Tin Roof Tacos, Pastry Perfection, the restaurants we all know and love. With this event with Johnson May, I approached the partners about doing another event. And a good friend of mine, Dave Sears, who I've known for about 10 years, he's a former commander of SEAL Team 6, leadership consultant, author, and frequent Fox News and CNN and MSNBC contributor. Dave, he's one of the most humble people you'll ever meet. If you guys are familiar with the story of Private Jessica Lynch, who was an American service member taken prisoner by Saddam Hussein in the first Iraq War, Dave was the architect of the mission to rescue Private Lynch and executed that mission to rescue her. He's also rescued countless American hostages held hostage by the FARC guerrillas in Colombia as a member of SEAL Team 6 and eventually as a commander of SEAL Team 6. So super fortunate that Dave really likes Boise and gave a quick yes to coming out here and speaking, and couldn't do this without the support of Johnson May, number one, and then also Sheriff Clifford and the Ada County Sheriff's Department, who are behind this big time. We'll have about 120 members of the Ada County Sheriff's Department on hand. Wow. We have local businesses who stepped up to sponsor the event, including now CFO, Allied Business Solutions, BBSI, Zev Technologies, which is a firearms manufacturer, which is in the process of analyzing a move from Washington to Boise. And then Chief Weiniger of the Boise Police Department getting behind us in a big way. We're going to start the day on June 28th with an appearance on Wake Up Idaho with Maggie O'Mara, with Dave and Sheriff Clifford. And I can't tell you exactly what's going to happen, but I promise you we're going to do something incredibly special at that event with Sheriff Clifford. It's going to be an incredible day. We already have 300 people registered to attend. If you or anyone you know would be interested, should be there, register. The event is free for everyone. We are providing the food for the military veterans and law enforcement appreciation lunch. Dr. Mindy Anderson of the Idaho Veterans Chamber of Commerce is involved. So we're happy to throw a warm blanket around those that serve our country. And then also our local law enforcement, throwing that warm blanket around those that serve our community, especially these days when law enforcement needs to be reminded about how much we love and support them and just want to show the gratitude for the work they do. Questions?
So Dan, I have the flyer up on the screen here, and actually I registered today before we went live. And when I registered, it was so easy, as well as it's downtown in the Idaho State Capitol building from noon to 1. It looks like that's the lunch, and then 1 to 2 is the presentation. So it looks like it's a couple hours. How many will fit in the Lincoln Auditorium, Dan? Because this thing's going to be gone.
Great question, Paul. we're getting pretty close to cutting off the list. So the Lincoln Auditorium will seat 240. We can have folks standing. So about 75 can stand. We also booked an overflow room that'll hold 60 across the hall. But we anticipate that of the folks that register, probably between 70 and 80% of those that register will actually show up. So if you want a seat, you'll get a seat. You just need to register, preferably by June 1st. We will be cutting off the registration at some point.
On the bottom of the screen is the johnsonmaylaw.com website that goes directly to the Smarter, Not Harder event. And this is an opportunity that rarely comes around, especially with the commander, David Sears. I'm really looking forward to hearing his remarks and networking with other leaders in the community. If you are listening, take an opportunity to pop on the johnsonmaylaw.com website, find out this event. There's some more information as well. What else? Kyla, what would you add?
I'm just really looking forward to the event. It's been extremely rewarding, and I'm very grateful to Dan for all the work that he's been doing as well, and just for conceptualizing this and pitching it for us to be a part of. I have family who are veterans as well, so this hits a personal note for me too. And it's just all these groups have been so awesome to deal with. Our sponsors have been great. A lot of these nonprofits that are also going to be present are just such a great group of people. It's been a lot of work, but it's been extremely rewarding, and I just can't wait to see everyone come out and enjoy the event.
Me too. Who doesn't need a good, inspiring story to light that fire? Again, we always need to sharpen our saw, meet some new people, and listen to inspiring people and their stories. Dan, what would you like to close on today?
Yeah, thank you, Paul. Thank you, Kyla. First and foremost, again, we have such an incredibly tight-knit business community. I come from originally New York and then Los Angeles. We don't have this in New York and Los Angeles. We're going to have about 150 business leaders, decision makers, folks that you know. So if you're a member of a Chamber of Commerce, you're going to see folks from Boise. You're going to see folks from the Meridian Chamber of Commerce. My friends at the Sunrise Rotary Club. You're going to see all of the same people. So even if you're coming by yourself, there will be 37 and a half people that you will know. So business people, military veterans organizations, and law enforcement. What could be better? And a message from Dave Sears: companies pay a lot of money to bring in Dave to speak and advise them on their businesses and on management and leadership. So for us to have an opportunity to spend an hour with him and enjoy a meal for free, you can't beat that, in my humble opinion.
Dan, thank you so much for your energy and efforts to combine to put this event on. And thanks again, Kyla, for the Johnson May team, who are investors in the Chamber, have been Chamber members for quite some time. Always love seeing you, Kyla. And Dan, I'll see you at the event, if not sooner. Kyla and I will connect more and how we can help fill those 240 seats. No problem at all. Probably right after this session, you'll have to close down registration. Hey, have a great weekend, both of you, and enjoy the sun.
You too. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Kyla.
Thanks, Dan.
Bye, everybody.